It's an honor to be here. So, just to get this clear, you all are the top 5% of the engineering students, or the top 3%?
It's the top 20% of seniors, top 1/8 of juniors are eligible.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. I'm not going to really talk about the job that I do at John Deere Engineering, or did I push that?
I think it has a mind of its own.
Okay, that's okay. That's great. So I'm not going to be really specific about what I do, because what I do is pretty boring. I'm a software engineer. Not sure if you all want to really listen to that. So today I want to talk about some tips, some guidance that I think you would really appreciate. So I've been at John Deere for about 4 years now. I'm a senior systems engineer there. When I started, I was a senior software engineer. I graduated at Old Dominion University in Virginia, in Norfolk. I have a master's, or not master's, but my major was in computer engineering with a minor in computer science. And I've been developing software for the last 14 years, which seems like a pretty long time now. And I've had about 5 jobs since I started college. So the tips I'm going to give today, I think, will help you in your engineering career and your overall life. So I'm excited to give them to you, and I hope you appreciate them. So these tips are taking risks, self-improvement, and setting goals. And there we go. All right, so first one, taking risks. There are no failures in life. There are only results. So the truth is that we all can go home today, sit on the couch, never take any more risks in the rest of our life. We don't have to do anything else, and we're all going to get a result out of it. It may not be the result we want, but we still get a result. The fact is that the only true risk in life is not taking any. So I hope you all challenge yourself, and I hope you all take risks, and I hope you all experience this failure so that you know that you all can overcome it. And I have some examples of failures that I made in the past, so we'll get through that. But the biggest challenge I think you all will have is that you all are very, very smart. I know that doesn't sound like a challenge, but when you have a really good idea, you guys are so smart that you can probably think of 100 ways why this idea won't work, and you're going to talk yourself out of it. So I need you to trust yourself and push through and take these risks for yourself. Let me tell you about a time when I took a risk and it really paid off for me. I worked at VMAS, which is the Virginia Modeling, Analysis, and Simulation Center in Virginia. And at VMAS, I was a network administrator, and this is how I paid my way through college. And we had a lot of really high-end machines there. So we had the Intergraphs, the Silicon Graphics 02, the Sun Microsystem Deck Alphas, really nice machines. In fact, they're so powerful that they're half the machine that you have in your pockets today with their cell phones. So working here, this is a long time ago, and Windows 2000 was about to come out. Zach tells you where it was, right? And the rumor was that the desktop environment for Windows 2000 was going to be 3D. So I said, we're going to need a 3-dimensional mouse for this. So I invented this 3D mouse. And I sent it to every mouse manufacturer in the world, which was about 64 of them at the time, through email. And only got one reply. And that one reply was from Logitech. And Logitech said, hey, we had a very similar idea and it didn't work, but would you like an internship? So I said, yeah. So that's how I got myself my first internship with Logitech in Germany. And it worked out really well by taking a stupid risk of sending out an idea to the whole world. So I encourage you to take risks. They can pay off sometimes. But I have a story on the flip side where taking a risk didn't pay off for me well at all. I worked at a naval contractor called WR Systems after I graduated. And this is one of the boats I worked on. It's an unmanned surface vehicle, about a 40, 45-foot boat. This is the fast attack one with the hydrofoils. On this boat, they had a very sophisticated radar system because we had to guide it on naval. And it was my job to make sure everything was up and running for this demo coming up. And so I got all the software running on there, everything, latest packs and everything. I couldn't get the radar system to work. And this is called a Kongsberg Radius 1000. Pretty expensive stuff. So I couldn't get the radar system to talk on the network. So I decided to flash the radar. And we all know what happens when you try to flash something and it fails halfway. Anyway, long story short, I killed the radar system and it went down. But I was up. I was up at the top of the charts at WR Systems. I was making the most expensive mistake ever that they've ever had for engineering at $150,000. So that's a pretty big mistake to make, right? And it's all because I took a risk of trying to do it myself and not ask anybody for any help. And this demo was very important because, you get funding through government contracts. So if this demo didn't work, we're in big trouble. So the next day, they had to fly a person or an engineer out from Norway to come out and fix the radar that I just broke. And the funny thing is, when this engineer was leaving and the door closed, he said, next time, if it's working, don't muck with it. And I looked at my boss and I said, he did say muck, right? And we're not so sure if he did. But anyways, the point was very clear. So not all of your risk going to pay off. But if you do take a risk and you win, you're going to be pretty happy. But if you lose, you'll be wise. I have another tip for you about overcoming mistakes. If you do make a mistake, you're going to be very focused on it. You're going to pretty much be engulfed in it. Like, I can't believe I did this mistake. So the idea is to try to picture yourself in 5 years advance. Does this mistake that I just made really affect my life 5 years from now? Try to zoom out from the mistake, and you'll see that it's not always a huge deal. So I hope that tip is good for you, and I hope you guys take some more of this. Apparently I don't know how to use, okay. So, self-improvement. Always work harder on yourself than you do your job. So this isn't something I would recommend putting at the top of your resume or even at the top of your LinkedIn page. But the point behind it is, if you work really hard at your job, I pretty much guarantee you'll make a living. But if you work really hard at yourself, you can make a fortune. So here are 5 things I do that I help with my self-improvement. First, I read a lot. And when I read, I read motivational, inspirational, and educational books. I don't read fiction books at all, unless my son wants me to. Let me explain why. So non-fiction books, the reason I don't read them is I think they're a waste of time. I'll never read Harry Potter. I'll never take the 10 to 12 hours it takes to read this book when I could just watch the movie in 2 hours. And a lot of people say that the movie ruins the book. Well, I think the book ruins the movie. Because as far as I see it, it's the only people that are leaving the theater that are, the ones that are upset are the ones that read the book. So I'm pretty sure this is true. Next is to get a mentor. And the best thing about a mentor is they don't have to be a human interface or one-on-one conversations. The mentors I have are watching videos or reading or listening to podcasts. Sorry. Is this delayed or am I just not pushing it right? So these are some of the people that motivate me, and some of them, they all have books, and they all have podcasts and blogs, except for Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. They don't really update their blog very much because they passed away, so it may not. Lately I've been looking at entrepreneur.com. It's a really good site, a lot of good articles on there, and I treat that as my mentor. I get advice from other people that write articles, and I think it could be a good way. It's a free way for you to spend some time and study up on other things. And this next tip, I think you'll really like. Is to join Toastmasters. So, at John Deere Electronic Solutions, we have a Toastmasters, and it's public, and you all can join. But the reason for that is we're all engineers, and it's most likely that most of us are introverts. We don't like being up here and don't like talking out in groups and things like that. But the reason you have to be a good speaker is your boss or your manager, he won't know the vocabulary you will have. He won't know the detailed information or the knowledge that you're going to have. So if you can get up in front of someone and clearly explain a really complicated idea, which you all will be faced with, he will most likely put you, he or she, sorry, put you front line to sell a product or sell a service that they have. Because it's really important that you have engineers that can speak well and engineers that can help sell the product, because they're going to need people like that. So my third tip is continuing your education. Whatever that might be, if it's getting your professional engineering certificate or just any certificate at all, getting your master's, PhD, or just learning about the industry, keep studying and keep learning and keep self-improving yourself in the education. I'm proof of that. I just started my master's in engineering, so and that's 14 years later. So it's never too late. I don't really think it matters what school you go to get your master's at one time, but I feel like it matters is when your boss has a football rival or something like that. So don't be too concerned about where you get your master's as long as you get that. The last one is, looks like that, is keep your portfolio updated. So in school, if you do a really cool project, keep some pictures of it, like I did with that boat. Or just keep it up to date, and so you can review it before an interview and keep it in a folder. So when you go to an interview, you can have this in front of you, you can talk about it. And if the person that's interviewing, if they run out of questions or something, they usually grab that folder from you, and they'll look at it, and then they'll ask you questions about things that you already know. So it's really important for you to keep up with your portfolio and review it before interviews. So interviews are changing too, as you all probably know. They're not just going to ask you technical details and technical questions anymore. They have a limited amount of time to figure out who you are and how you think through problems. So there's this, have you all been in behavioral interviews? No? Okay, great. Some people have been in behavioral interviews, and that's what John Deere does. And the last behavioral interview was with them was about 4 hours long. And they do that just to stress you out. And they ask you the same questions. Different people come in and ask you the same questions. And they match up to make sure your question is the same, even when you're under stress. So behavioral interviews are something that you're going to have to study. And they're going to be questions like, tell me a time when you led a team with an unpopular decision. So you're going to have to think of things like that and be prepared. So keeping your portfolio up to date will really help with that. So setting goals. Goals are your vision of the future. I encourage you to set goals, write them down, be very clear and specific about your goals. Act as if they are already yours. So for example, say you want a really nice house next to a lake or something. You can't just picture the house on the lake. You have to imagine you touching the doorknob, opening up the door, smelling what the house smells like, what it sounds like when you take your first step in the house. You have to imagine, make it very clear and specific. So you have to create the clarity of this idea you have and stay focused on your strategy. So what's more important than having this goal is probably the why for your goal. The why for your goal has to be bigger than yourself. So say, for example, you want a Lamborghini. And that's a pretty good motivational goal, right? Because that's a pretty sweet car. But the problem is that's a pretty selfish goal, and it's a pretty weak why that you want the goal. So if you start getting in family troubles, or you get a family, you get married and have kids, or things like that, or you start having health problems, the idea of having a Lamborghini in the driveway kind of diminishes, and the why for that starts to disappear and your goal cracks and crumbles. So So your why has to be bigger than yourself, and the world must be a better place because you are here. So examples like Elon Musk. Elon Musk, he wants to build zero-emission cars for the mass through Tesla. And Bill and Melinda Gates, they want to eradicate polio, feed the hunger, provide health care and education. It seems like we can do a lot more with billions of dollars. John Deere, he just wanted to build a better tool for farmers to have their land easier to cultivate. And 180 years later, John Deere's why is still going. So, my tip is, if you have a strong enough why, you can bear almost any how. And one of my virtual mentors, Les Brown, he has a pretty good saying about goals. He says that a lot of people set goals too low when they hit, and that's the problem. And worse than that, some people don't set goals at all. So let's take a real quick example. Let's say my goal is to see the sunset, right? But all I do is look to the east. So even a simple goal like that, I'm never going to achieve. My strategy is wrong in achieving it. So you have to always modify and tune your strategy until you start to see results. And then when you do that, well, you'll be happy. You'll start to win. So the point of that was, you can't change where you are overnight, but you can change your direction. And we all know strategy. We all know how to obtain goals because we practice it every day. So here's an example about hitting one of your goals that we all do. You're driving home. So let's say you get in your car today, start it up, close your eyes, and step on the gas pedal. It's going to be a pretty limited chance that you're going to hit your goal of getting home. But Theodore Roosevelt says, do what you can, where you are, with what you have. So if you use your eyes, your hands, and your feet for the pedals and brakes, and then you try again, and you say, oh, my goal is to get home. But we all hit obstacles towards our goal. We hit stop signs, speed limits, other cars, other intersections, and even construction. But what do you all do now when you run up on construction? You don't just sit and wait for the construction to end, right? We go around it, we take the next exit, we even go through it, switch lanes, and if it's really bad, we'll get out of a car and walk. But as long as you're headed in the right direction, you're bound to hit your goal. So know that there's no lack in time and achieving your goals, there's only lack in direction. So if you don't have a goal right now, or you don't have that clear vision of what you want right now, it's okay, I think you're fine. Maybe your goal is going to be getting your master's next, or your professional engineering license, or maybe making $100,000 next year, or make it your next job. But here's another challenge for you. Make your goal to be a millionaire, right? And it's not for the money, but it's who you will become. So set your goals really high. It's not what you get, but who you will become. So all these tips come together for one main idea. And that is, you are the brand, and you're the product, and you are what you need to market to people. So despite who signs your paycheck, you're always going to be self-employed. So I encourage you to take some risks. Mistakes will happen and they're going to suck, but you can't grow without it. Always look for ways to improve yourself and never stop. Have a clear vision and set your goals because they will become your future. And Earl Nightingale, another one of my virtual mentors, says something pretty important. He says we're all self-made, but it's only the successful that are willing to remain. So take full responsibility for your own success. Ultimately, you will be successful too if you do something where your strengths align with your passion. So, good luck, and hope some of these tips resonated with you, and wish you all a very successful engineering future. I have an email here if you have any questions, comments, how the presentation went. Or if some of these ideas resonated with you and one day you happen to be a billionaire, this is also my PayPal account. Donation into that. That's all I have. If you have any other questions, answer them, entertain them, or pass them off like I didn't hear them.
You said that you've been in the professional engineering career for about 14 years.
Right.
You said you've already had 5 different jobs. Can you talk about like the job market a little bit, or what made you choose to switch positions rather quickly versus staying with one company?
Right, yeah. So I'm always looking for jobs. Even though I'm at John Deere right now, I'm always looking on LinkedIn, seeing what other jobs are out there. Not because I want to leave, but I want to make sure my skills are up to date. So I want to see what the industry is looking at, what other people want out there. So in John Deere, we can move around a lot in different jobs. So I see the industry moving towards like AutoSAR, for example, which they are. I could say, well, there's a job opening for at John Deere that has to do with AutoSAR. I'll jump over that in case John Deere kicks me out the door one day. I'll have a future, hopefully, that I can do that with. And when I worked at WR Systems, that naval contractor, I worked on both sides. I also was an employee of the government. And the reason I did that was because I didn't know where this money was coming from. At the contracting site, all of a sudden they say, hey, we have $150,000, go work on something. So I'd start working on the contract. And then just out of the blue, they would say, contract's gone, money's all spent, find something else to do. So where is this money coming from? How are we getting this money? So when I was working on the unmanned boats, the government wanted to hire me directly because it's cheaper than going through, believe it or not, government actually does care about money sometimes. So they hired me directly and I worked with the government. And everybody says, well, the government is the best place to work because you can't get fired. In fact, my boss told me I have to kill at least 3 people before I get fired. And I don't know if he was joking or not.
Was the Postal Service?
No, this was a combatant craft division of the Navy. And what was it? Oh yeah, so I walking around the hallway, the problem with working at a place in the government where people don't get fired on, a lot of people don't work. And so when I want to do a project, I had this wireless radio that I just wanted to test. It's a silly test. I just wanted to turn it on, see if it links up, and turn it back off. You wouldn't believe the amount of paperwork I had to fill out for this stupid thing because they were worried about this frequency going out if it would launch a missile. Yeah, crazy, right? So, and the biggest problem was nobody wanted to sign a paper saying, yes, this is okay, because everybody was scared. Nobody wanted to put their name on the line and say, yes, I approve for you to turn on this radio. But it took like 3 months for me to get the paperwork finally pushed through. And the test that I had to do literally took about 30 seconds. Turned it on, green light went on, turned it off. And they said, pass. So there's an example of how we waste a lot of money in the government as well, especially because people don't want to work. And because they don't want to work, there's nothing they can really do. So you have to find these blocks, you find these people who have to go around, and that pretty much became my work life in the government, finding the people who didn't do anything and go around and find where I could. So that became really annoying, and had to get out of there and do something more. So came here to John Deere. Another thing about that, this is a long answer, right? There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of times where you'll have a lot of work to do and then there'll be nothing to do at all. And especially in the contracting world, you'll be worried that if I'm going to get laid off because we have nothing to do right now. In fact, one time, work was so slow that they put me on a job to determine if an enemy captured one of our Tomahawk missiles, if they could reverse engineer where it was fired from. I don't know anything about Tomahawk missiles, but they put me on the job anyway. So that's how slow work can be at times and annoying. And because it was so slow, my office mate and I started another company called IQ. So during IQ, the whole purpose of starting IQ was because we wanted to keep our engineering skills up to date. And we didn't have the goal of being a millionaire or anything like that, and we really hit that goal pretty good. But nothing on that one. But IQ was a consulting service for engineering. We had about 9 customers. Not earth-shattering, but during IQ, we did develop hardware product for an electronic valve controller, and we did get it patented, so that helped us out a lot. And to get more customers, I did get my professional engineering license because I thought it would be more attractive to bring in more customers. So something I wanted to mention about businesses is I recommend starting one, but I don't recommend overthinking it, and that could seem like really weird advice. But don't make it a really big deal about starting a business. You don't have to be the next person on the Shark Tank. You don't have to be the next Steve Jobs or anything. So starting a business is really easy. It's really cheap, especially in America. If you have an idea, the worst thing you can do is spend months and months trying to protect it with patents and getting business plans going out. Just get out there, see if anybody wants to buy it or if your service sells, and work from there. And when you get tired with it, use it as a stepping stone to your next business. So don't shy away from starting a business. And like I said earlier, you guys are so smart, you're gonna think, I have this great business idea, but here's 101 ways why it might not work. I'm not gonna try it. So you're gonna have to try to push yourself and take the business and trust yourself on that. So those are some of the jobs and how I jumped around 5 different ones in 14 years. This wasn't too bad. Other questions?
Talk to us about Toastmasters just a little bit more.
Toastmasters. I recommend joining Toastmasters, but not because you're a good speaker. I recommend joining because you're not a good speaker. I'm in Toastmasters right now, as you can tell. It's a great place to try out new things, and it's a safe place to do that. Everyone there is encouraging you. So if you have, none of us are really good at coming up and talking to everyone. So, like using these hand gestures, I'm not used to that. I say a lot of times like that, and they want you to try something new. They want you to jump off, and they want you to do something out of the ordinary that you're not used to. But the idea behind it is that you will push yourself. You push yourself out of these boundaries that you set yourself to, or this image that you want to portray to other people. So you get a lot of practice, and you get a lot of practice in front of friends where they're there to help you. So you can try to express yourself differently. You can experiment and grow your speaking ability. So I think it's a really good chance for you all to join. It's public, and if any of you want a job at John Deere, it's a good way to get behind the door and talk to people there, and have some self-improvement through your speaking. So it's a really good opportunity. I recommend everyone to do that. And also, Microsoft has one too. So anyone, your engineering, software engineering? Nobody? Austin's the only one? Okay, thank you. All right.
You're not alone.
There's 3 of us. Okay, well, I'm not even sure what I was going to say about that. You were right.
Well, part of my question is really to the fact that there used to be a Toastmasters chapter here on campus,
Oh, yeah?
and I don't think it's alive anymore. But just thinking out loud.
Okay, well, it's still on campus. That's at John Deere Electronic Solutions, so that's as close as campus you can get, right?
Technically you're part of campus. Technically you're not. But no, I think the students may be more comfortable with other students in that environment to start with, and then they can graduate to yours.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you guys are free to make one, I'm sure. So maybe someone could kick that off.
Put on the project list for next year.
Got it.
He's president next year.
Patrick. Waiting.
Any other questions? Maybe some good tips for you, or resonate with anybody? Good. Okay, great. All right. Well, if there's nothing else.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much.